The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Helping people in crisis on Triad Today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about them later on, and later on is when the roundtable shows up and we'll get into all sorts of controversies, so stay tuned for that. Lots of great guests, important information coming your way between now and then, including a discussion about virtual learning. But first, we want to start out talking about folks in crisis and the help they receive from the folks we have here on my immediate right. And both of these are good friends. Jimmy Flythe, of course, Director of Government and Community Relations for Duke Energy. And we'll tell you why there's a connection here with our other special guest, friend of mine, Margaret Elliott, who's Executive Director of Crisis Control Ministry. Good to see both of you.
Great. Yeah, great to be here.
Jimmy, let me start with you. Let's remind folks, what's the mission of the Duke Energy Foundation, and what are some of the recent grants y'all have given?
Yeah, so the Duke Energy Foundation exists to help us be just good corporate citizens and help citizens across the North Carolina and across our other service territories as well. And each year the foundation will identify some special needs and some special grant cycles. And this year one of those was $1 million grant across the state to go to assistance agencies like Crisis Control Ministry. Duke Energy's had a long history of working with Crisis Control Ministry. One of their services is helping customers with their heating and cooling bills.
Exactly.
And so we've just got a great history with them, and we're just excited to provide them one of these grants. The $1 million went to 39 different agencies across the state.
Well, that's great. Now, Margaret, just for folks maybe who've just moved into the area,
yes.
Remind everybody what Crisis Control Ministry is, the mission, and who you serve, and why there's a need.
Sure. Crisis Control Ministry is the largest nonprofit provider of emergency assistance, what's known to us as emergency assistance. And that is helping people get through a temporary financial crisis, which prevents them from providing for their basic life needs, such as housing, so that's rent, mortgage, paying for utility bills, all utilities, and also buying groceries and or prescription medication. We have a free pharmacy as well. So that is our primary purpose and our mission. We also have some poverty education programs that we're offering to the community just to help educate folks about who lives in our community that needs this help.
Yeah, and you're really providing a great resource in that. I mean, I won't hold you to this because it's, I guess, impossible to know an exact number, but about how many people do you serve on average each year, and what areas do you cover?
So last year we served more than 18,000 people that came through our doors at either our Kernersville office or our Winston-Salem office.
Right.
And so, those services, primarily right now, we're helping people with rent and housing cost and utility bills. There just seems to be such a shortage of affordable housing that folks are finding, having trouble finding a place to live.
Right. Now, you mentioned, before I interrupt you, you started talking about some of the programs. Give me an example of a couple services that you offer to people who are in really desperate, crisis. They can't make ends meet. It might be they can't pay the rent. Maybe the family just has an abuse problem. Maybe all sorts of things. But what do you do to help people?
Well, every story is different. So everyone calls in, and they call in either for a phone interview or they can come in person for an interview. And we ask them, what happened this month to make it so that you can't, afford your medicine, your groceries, your rent, or your utilities? And they tell us their story. All of us have a story. So we listen carefully to those stories and with respect, hopefully respond to them in a way that's going to help them get through this crisis, because next month will be okay, but this month is not okay.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic service. And I want to ask you, you still need volunteers, right?
We always need volunteers. We love volunteers to come help us interview. Yes.
And quickly, before we run out of time, tell me why the Duke Energy grant is so important to help your mission.
This is an infrastructure capacity building grant. We're so grateful to Jimmy and to Duke Energy Foundation, because it's going to help us in our new way of interviewing folks to provide maybe a new phone system, maybe a new interview process online, just to get us up to speed so that we can help more people with the services that we provide.
And you do this kind of thing each year, helping folks across the state, right, Jimmy?
Yep, very much so. And we've got a program. We provide grants, monies year in, year out to our Share the Light program, which provides funding, matching gifts from the foundation, shareholders, employees, customers that donate to go directly to help with some of these services. And
right.
We've been doing that for years. So this was an opportunity for those capacity building grants and things that these organizations do.
Yeah, thanks to folks like Jimmy and Margaret, there's almost always a way through. as bad as things may seem at the moment. My dad was a volunteer for Crisis Control Ministry many years before he passed away, a long time. So I know about that. Up on the screen, crisiscontrol.org is the website. Please check that out. And visit duke-energy.com and check that out as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll be right back after this.
Need help buying food? Everyone needs help sometimes. Food Nutrition Services may be able to help you buy food and free up your money for other expenses, such as utilities and medicine. To receive F&S assistance, households must meet income limits. You may be able to get assistance even if you own a home, car, land, property, or have a retirement plan or money in the bank. Second Harvest Food Bank of Northwest North Carolina team members can help you with the application process over the phone. To receive help or if you have any questions, call 336-422-7758.
Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today is now streaming on WFMY Plus, available free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Back now on Triad Today, and I can't think of a better calling than someone who helps keep our student athletes safe and injury-free, hopefully. And this gentleman does just that. First-time visitor to the show, Ian Mashinsky is an athletic training manager for Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist, covering the Guilford County area. And welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's first remind everybody, because normally when we have folks on from Atrium Health, we're talking about specific types of things and diagnostics and whatever. But you folks have a really complete sports med department, don't you?
Definitely, we do. Our sports medicine department is designed to help anything from athletes up to your weekend warriors, and things of that nature.
So you don't even have to be like a serious professional athlete, but if I, get an injury or something like that, I can still come to you even at my age, right?
Definitely, yeah. None of us are immune to that injury bug.
Yeah. Now tell us about the athletic training partnerships that you're involved in. What does it involve, and what schools do you partner with?
Sure. So we have 6 partnerships within Guilford County right now with the public schools. We also have 2 private schools that we partner with. And then, I'm also associated with the North Carolina Fusion, which services their soccer club there, as well as work with the Rockers organization as well.
What kind of things do you help the student athletes with? What do you tell them? How do you keep them injury free? Or, I know you deal with injuries after the fact, but what do you do to really help?
I think the biggest thing we do is we develop a relationship with the student athletes. We have athletic trainers that are in the schools. They're there pretty much all day. They stay late. They're at practices. They're at games. So when an athlete does get injured, they already have that relationship built, and they know how to take care of that, which also feeds into, if my family has a family member that needs something, we're also there to take care of that as well.
What are some of the more common injuries you see in high school student athletes?
It really is sport specific. Of course, you're talking football is a little higher impact with the highest really injury per capita. You see a lot of injuries there, impacts, concussions are a big thing right now as far as a point of emphasis and taking care and make sure that the kids get the proper care and they're ready to go back before they actually return to play.
Did I hear somewhere that your athletic training program is expanding or about to expand?
We're constantly expanding. I feel like we've been expanding for years. We started a few years back with a small number of schools in Forsyth County. We've added my region to the Guilford side of things, which is High Point, Greensboro. We just recently added a new contract with Grimsley High School, which we're excited about.
Okay.
It's a larger school. I think they have 23 sports, and so it's a big job to keep all of those athletes healthy, but we have a great athletic trainer on the ground that's in place to help them with that.
I just think these partnerships are great. And speaking of that, with kids going back to school, student athletes trying to get back in the swing of their particular sport, what advice do you give them?
Sure. I think, with the way sports are now, they pretty much go year round. And so it's important to have that relationship with your athletic trainer. It's important to, be aware of the things that you have to look out for starting back into your season. Hydration is a big key.
Oh, yeah.
Flexibility is a key. Just being ready to go into the demands that your body's about to have placed.
You got to get them warmed up.
Definitely, of course.
Don't just go right out there and start doing it.
For sure.
I want to put something up on screen before I forget. wakehealth.edu/sportsmedicine will get you to some specific information about that. The general website, of course, wakehealth.edu. Before we run out of time, I know we were talking off camera before. You're a native of Pennsylvania, but you were a good athlete in school. but I think you said you had an injury at some point. What led you to want to do this career?
Sure. So, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was a Christian ministries major, wanted to help people in some form or fashion. As I was injured as a college soccer player, I was introduced. That was my first interaction with an athletic trainer at all, was at the college level. Fortunately, now the way our program is set up, those kids are being exposed earlier in the high school setting. But when I got injured, I had the opportunity to work with an athletic trainer. I saw what they did. I saw the passion they had for getting me back to sport, and that was just really infectious. And that's, I guess that's what got me here.
Yeah, I know a lot of high school kids, maybe they don't articulate it to you, their gratitude, but I know their parents are grateful for what you're doing and trying to keep them safe and healthy, and we appreciate it too. Thanks for coming by the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
It's hard to believe the Safe Sober program has been going strong for over 30 years.
And over 600,000 students have made the pledge to stay safe and sober on prom night. Griff, it's had a huge impact on our community.
Yeah, you're right, David. And now we're making sure the message continues year-round.
So everyone can join us in supporting our students.
Learn more and take the pledge at safesober.com, sponsored by Daggett Schuler.
Back now on Triad Today, and let's talk about virtual services. And we do that with two very special guests. One is a repeat visitor. We're always glad to have her. Selena McCrae is Manager of Community and Business Engagement for Triad Goodwill. She's brought along a special guest of her own. Richard Vance is Manager of Quality Assurance and Outcomes. Good to see y'all.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
Richard, let me start with you. What is micro-learning? That I think Selena emailed me something about micro-learning and virtual services. What is all that about?
So microlearning is kind of like the short burst of education, kind of a quick way to get that content out to people that need that. And then the virtual services came about because we wanted to look at how people can access that content. People that are at home, like a mom who has daycare issues or things like that. So we kind of wanted to map that into it, and kind of virtual learning and microlearning was just born.
Yeah, because a lot of those you're talking about, you just mentioned with daycare, whatever, those are the kinds of obstacles that keep people from getting where they want to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Selena, now how does all this virtual, how do the virtual services fit in with the overall mission of Triad Goodwill?
Yeah, so our mission, improving lives, enriching communities through the power of work. And really how virtual services ties into that is that accessibility piece. We cover a wide region, and so for individuals that are more rural communities where it's harder to make it out to the center, or maybe even they're working during center hours and just can't come and get that assistance during that time, they still have an equal opportunity just as anyone to upskill and move further in their career.
Richard, you gave us an example a moment ago about somebody that maybe has to be at home with the kids. Well, give me another, let me just ask in general, who would these services, learning and services and lessons and virtual learning, who is that for and who is it not for? Can it be any age or what?
I think so. I think it's for anybody. Like I mentioned, the mother with a daycare issue, but what if it's a college student, that has classes during the day and they may not have that content available during the day but at night, or individuals that are working throughout the day and can't come to businesses that are open from 8 to 5.
Right.
So I think that content is available to anybody that might have a barrier.
Now give me some more examples a few examples of topics that you might cover with virtual learning.
So we do things like employability, like the resume, the job searching, those kind of contents that most people are familiar with. But one that comes to mind for me is the professional development, such as how to develop a growth mindset. The pandemic and all of that kind of put us in a different mind frame with employers and businesses. So I think having a growth mindset and learning that content at your own pace during your own time is very comfortable for a lot of people.
Now, is there a fee for all this great stuff that you're talking about doing?
Absolutely not. I'm proud to say it's free of cost.
Wow. Now, how long has this been going on, the virtual learning and everything?
So virtual learning has been going on for a couple of years, but during the pandemic. But what we did was kind of tailor it down to that micro-learning piece, along with some other things too. But it's been available for a little while.
Well, let me put you on the spot. We didn't rehearse this or anything, but in terms of feedback, or what feeling do you have for how it's been received in helping people?
From what I've heard and what I've read from our participants of the program, it's been very well received. People are giving us feedback about content. We've had businesses that are reaching out to us because we can customize that content for maybe the employees of the businesses. So from what I'm seeing, it's very well received.
Yeah, and I want to put up some information on screen, Selena, because I know that the folks might be wondering how can they access this. So I want you to correct me if I get anything wrong here. Of course, you can go to triadgoodwill.org/train. That's right. You can also call the Career Center at 544-5305, or you can email elearning@triadgoodwill.org. Of course, the basic website is triadgoodwill.org, but that other information is on screen. Selena, you feel like this is working pretty good?
Yeah, it really is, and we're just glad that we can have learning and upskilling available to anyone.
That's great. Even for old people like me?
Yeah, for anyone.
Yeah,
for anyone.
That's right. Thanks for the compliment, Richard. Richard goes, like you? All right, thanks for being here. Hey, look, seriously, thanks for all you're doing for people. Really.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
Are you looking to jumpstart your future in the fast-paced, rapidly growing food industry? In Second Harvest Food Bank's Providence Culinary Training Program, you'll learn the craft and art of cooking, plus business and management skills, science and nutrition, and essential life skills. Providence Culinary Training has helped hundreds of individuals just like you launch successful culinary careers. There's no reason to wait to turn your passion for food into an exciting career. Check out the upcoming class schedule on our website at providencews.org.
Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you to catch my column Longworth at Large and Yes Weekly every week. It's available throughout the Triad, or you can go online, yesweekly.com. Back now on Triad Today, and time to spend a few minutes with Mr. Theater. If you've never watched the show before, A, shame on you, and B, it's Dave Briggs. So I've just revealed who you are.
You did.
Yeah.
How about
Dave Briggs, director, High Point Theater. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Jim.
We have some fun stuff to talk about with some shows coming up, but before that, something serious I want to ask you about, sort of a business question. You emailed me one day and said, we're trying to track some legislation going through the United States Senate regarding tickets.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
Well, currently there are 4 different bills going both through the House and the Senate that are looking at how tickets are sold and how ticket operators work with their manufacturing. So part of it has to do with transparency, and that's the fees that are on your various tickets. And there's one bill that also includes tickets for like airlines and hotels and so on. And those are those hidden fees and those charges that
and you don't know it until after.
You don't know it till you're done. And so the Senate, both the Senate and the Congress have bills that are very similar to one another that are really looking at that level of transparency so that you as a ticket buyer will know that, okay, this is a historic theater fee. This is a management fee. This is tax is one thing you deal with, but there are other fees that these people seem to lay on, and especially secondary ticket sellers, which is in another part of another bill where you have people who are buying bulk number of tickets,
right,
and then reselling
and then marking them up and saying it's a fee, a handling fee or something.
Exactly.
So if I want to go see something for $50 at High Point Theater and I go through some of these other people, I might get a bill on the credit card that says $60
or more.
Or
I
more.
mean, $120 is not.
$120.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of that, we usually do this at the end, but going through the box office, and I'll put that number up later, that's still the best way to get tickets.
That is the best way. Give us a call. If you go directly to our website, highpointtheater.com, it will take you to our box office site as well.
Right.
Now, if you're doing that, you're going to pay a convenience fee, and by the way, that's on your ticket.
Right.
But that's the best way to buy
tickets. But if you call directly.
Exactly. And the same thing goes whether it's the Tanger Center or the Carolina Theater.
Right.
Call the box office.
All right, some things coming up that'll be fun. Napoleon Dynamite Sunday, September 3rd.
Yeah, I'm looking so much forward to this. So John Heder, John Grice, and Efraim Ramirez will be with us. So it's Napoleon Dynamite Live. We're going to show the movie. We're going to raise the screen, and then we're going to have the 70s living room right behind that set. It's going to be great fun.
That is going to be fun.
Yeah.
The Players on Saturday, September 23rd.
So the Players are 3 former members of Chicago and the former drummer drummer from Earth, Wind, and Fire. So these are the real deal. So you're going to hear the music of Chicago.
These aren't like cover bands.
These are not cover bands. This is legacy stuff. These guys are great.
Well, then people need to really see that.
They should.
Ofrenda, Thursday, October 26th. Now, we talked about this weeks and weeks ago.
Yeah.
Let's remind people what Ofrenda is.
Sure. The Ballet Folklorico of Los Angeles, along with Mariachi Garibaldi, have put together a show called Ofrenda. It's a Dia de los Muertos celebration, which is a huge celebration in Hispanic culture. And these dancers are beautiful. The mariachi band is top notch. And if you're looking for a great cultural experience, this is one to come see.
That sounds great. Now, on Saturday, October 28th, you sent me an email and said, hey, Will Downing's coming, but I'm not familiar with him. Tell me about him.
He is the prince of sophisticated soul. And I'm telling you, his voice is butter. He's a remarkable man, Grammy Award winner, has an incredible story, personal story as well. But his voice, I'm telling you, once you listen to it, you're going to put it on your playlist because it is just beautiful sound.
All right, well, that's good. All right. Now, for more information, please check out the website that Dave was talking about. I love this website, highpointtheater.com. Remember to put in 2 T's, highpointtheater.com. Or for tickets, as we mentioned before, call 336-887-3001 because that is the best, fastest, most efficient way to get your tickets. And will you stay over for the roundtable?
Sure.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
Every cookie sold in the Girl Scout Cookie Program helps girls learn lifelong lessons in people skills, decision making, money management, goal setting, and business ethics. It's amazing how much you can learn from a cookie. The Girl Scout Cookie Program. Think outside the box.
Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable with a quick shout out to the good folks here at Senior Botanical Garden. And I hope you'll come out to the garden and visit it. You can do anything out here just about. You can have weddings, receptions. We've seen blushing brides come through here. And speaking of that, here's 3 guys who probably made a lot of brides blush. On my right, Ogie Overman, but always on the left. Politically, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster journalist. Dave Briggs, we held over from the segment. Of course, director of High Point Theater. Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. And also, guys, we all want to wish Congresswoman Kathy Manning a speedy recovery from her accident, and which was not her fault. But we hope she gets better soon, and we'll see her soon. All right, guys, State Senator Phil Berger is pushing for a casino to be developed in his home county of Rockingham. Meanwhile, the Baltimore-based developer who wants to build a casino gave $50,000 to Berger's campaign. In general, should state lawmakers be required to recuse themselves from voting on any issue that involves a campaign contributor? Ogie.
You know, when this story broke, I asked my wife, I said, I wonder what's in this for Berger. There you have it. But, I mean, it happens all the time, Jim. It's just commonplace. It happens all the time.
Dave,
I guess I'd like to see that happen.
Should they be mandated to recuse themselves?
I don't think it's possible because you wouldn't have any votes at all, whether it's the pharmaceuticals, the medical, the construction folks, the DOT people. There wouldn't be anybody because they all get donations.
Gee, that's why we have lobbyists. I mean, they're all doing it. So it's very difficult to change that.
All right, some members of Congress want to extend the retirement age for commercial pilots from 65 to 67 years old. You guys okay with pilots flying until they're 67? Okay.
Yeah, I think I am. I don't have a problem with that, Jim.
Dave?
You know, I'm 66. I'll be 67 in about 3 months. Yeah, I have no problem with that.
But you're not flying this today,
I'm
are
not
you?
flying, but I still have most of my faculties.
Yeah, but well, we'll get into that next time. Keith?
Yeah, we don't know that yet. We think you do, but no, I think it's okay. It's your physical abilities versus anything else. If you're physically and mentally able, you should be able to fly.
All right, speaking of Congress, Senators Mitch McConnell and Dianne Feinstein not too long ago recently experienced brain freezes while trying to speak, and Feinstein even had to be told when to vote. Meanwhile, President Biden has difficulty walking and he slurs his speech. Do you guys favor an amendment that would set a maximum age for serving in a federally elected office? And if so, what would that maximum be? Ogie?
Biden doesn't have trouble walking or slurring his speech,
Well, he
Jim. Where do you get
shuffles
that?
and
Well, that's okay. I do that too.
Yeah. Well, you're not the president
No,
either.
I don't
You don't
favor
favor
a
that.
maximum age. I don't.
Dave?
Yeah, I don't think so. I see Chuck Grassley, and he's pretty darn sharp, and he's a lot older than those folks.
All right, Keith.
I go back to the last question. It's how you are physically and mentally. There should be a doctor that should be able to analyze that and then work with you, but I don't think there should be a limit.
This is real controversial. A group of ministers and other citizens in Winston-Salem are angry that the assistant city manager, who'd been there for a while, was recently passed over for the city manager position. Meanwhile, the city attorney refused to meet with the ministers group to talk about their complaints. Now, here's a question. In general, I don't want to get into too many specifics about this. Should citizens in general or ministers specifically have input on the hiring of city employees? Ogie.
Well, I think the answer is in the specifics, Jim. I mean, yeah, any citizen ought to have input somehow. Their voice should be heard somehow. But why would they? Is there something behind the scenes
I don't
that
know.
this guy got passed over, or what?
I don't know. It's a girl. It's a lady.
Oh, it's a lady.
That got
Okay.
passed over.
Well, they actually do have a voice, and that's called at the ballot box.
Right.
They can hire those folks.
They hire the folks who hire the
They
folks.
hire the folks who hire the folks.
Yeah.
And I mean, Pat Pay's going to be a wonderful city manager for the city of High Point. I've worked with him before, and a good fellow.
Right.
I don't know the lady who was passed over. I'm sure
Right.
she's very
Yeah,
talented.
in Winston-Salem. All right, Keith.
Yes, they should have a voice. Yes, they should be heard. If you're part of the city and these people are part of the city and they pay taxes, you should sit down and meet with them and see what their concerns are, complaints are. I think that's only fair to do that.
Rather than going through their elected representatives.
No, you don't have to do that. It's city leaders. They're city leaders. You don't have to be elected to be a city leader.
Okay. South Korea is one of several countries where dog meat industry is still legal. People there purchase meat in stores, dog meat in stores. They get served dog meat in restaurants. Should the U.S. threaten to cut off trade with these countries unless they shut down the dog meat industry? Ogie?
Well, I mean, as gross as that is, you can't stop relations with some of your best allies like that. There's bigger issues on the table.
We almost
than dog
have
meat.
in some cases over the whaling thing too, but I'm thinking, what do you think, Dave?
I think it's disgusting, but there are starving people all around the world.
All right, Keith.
My issue is, are they sending us meat that described as something else, and it's dog? I don't want to be eating dog, but I think that you have to be concerned with that. But I don't know how you cut off relationships with them.
All right, Elon Musk recently changed the name of Twitter to the letter X. Smart move or stupid move, Ogie?
I can't figure that guy out at all. It sounds like a dumb move. I mean, he keeps making dumb moves, but he's got to be smart.
A lot of branding
What's wrong with that
down
guy?
the drain, a lot of marketing down the drain, right, Dave?
You're talking about it right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's his company. He can do whatever he wants.
All right, Keith.
Yeah, I think it's a crazy move, but he's worth $1 billion, so what?
All right, finally, the English language now has a new slang word, Rizz, R-I-Z-Z, refers to your self-assurance. This is for men, your ability to attract women, and your general coolness. Guys, do you have Rizz?
I've never heard of that word, Jim,
Yeah.
but I'd
Do you have
like to
it?
kind of, not to sound arrogant, but I kind of think I
You do
might.
have Rizz. Dave, do you have Rizz?
I hate that word, but I prefer Elon.
Keith, do you have Rizz? You have any Rizz?
You already know the answer to that. Can't you tell? You already know I got Rizz, man. Why would you even ask me that question?
Keith is full of Rizz.
I'm full of Rizz, man.
He's full of
Rizzy.
something. He's
I'm
full of
Rizzy.
something. Yeah, he's full of something. All right, well, that's all the time. That's all the time we have. That's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. We said a few weeks ago, we reported, as you recall, that the DMV in Georgia's having problems because a lot of people are getting undressed when they get their photos taken for their driver's license. DMV's cracked down and said, look, folks, you have got to be fully dressed. And one man said, I'm angry about this. I want to talk to somebody right now about it. The DMV guy said, I'll keep your shirt on. See, it's a clothing thing. For all of us Rizz guys, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next week.